You'll forgive me, Mr. Shelby, if I indulge a little. Please?
Think. That's what I do.
On a gathering storm comes a tall, handsome man in a dusty black coat with a red right hand.
The answer's always yes.
I will have no limitations.
Welcome back to PBP, a Peaky Blinders podcast. I am Jamie G, returning alongside Magna Mills to figure out just what the hell Tommy Shelby's been up to these past few years, or maybe even decades. On this episode, we're discussing the teaser trailer for the upcoming Peaky Blinders movie titled The Immortal Man.
A, that is the title, and B, this is one of those weird things. It's been 4 years since the show ended. On one level, I feel like that was just 10 minutes ago, but on another level, so much has happened in the real world, and then just so much content has come out between now and then that it feels like it could get lost in the sauce. But I'm so excited to be diving back into the world of the Peaky Blinders, and we are thrilled that you're going to be taking the journey with us here on PBP, a Peaky Blinders podcast. We are presented by Regular Dudes Watch Stuff, and you can find all of our content wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff and on the web at dudeswatchstuff.com. Simple and easy to remember, just like the flaps, FLAPS. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please remember to press that thumb.
Before we get in too deep, this is your spoiler warning. We're obviously going to be discussing the teaser for The Immortal Man, so that's fair game for discussion, as well as all episodes of Peaky Blinders. By order of PBP, consider yourself warned.
Oh, I missed that so much. And speaking of that, Jamie G, I have been getting my rewatch on. I just did manage to finish up a full series rewatch. Have you really revisited Peaky since the series ended, or are you kind of coming in fresh here?
I'm coming in a little fresh. I plan to do a little touch up here and kind of do some of the season recaps, and I might rewatch that last season. That last season was pretty intense and deep in a lot of ways, so I think I might just give myself a touch up on that. But I'm ready, man. This was such a great show. I loved doing this podcast about it. It was one of my favorite shows when it was running. It's got a great character in Tommy Shelby, but it's got a bunch of great side characters. I'm excited to see what they do with it.
Yeah, it was a weird one in that we kind of picked it up very late in the game. We only did the 6-episode, 6th season. We were coming off of Ozark. We were kind of just starting to do this, and we were looking for something else. And you had seen the first 5 seasons, so I had to do the quick catch up. So I really had only watched these, once or twice outside of season 6, which we discussed. So I watched those a bunch of times. So going back and rewatching, it was very new to me. I will say the Luca Changretti season, the Brody season 4. Probably still my favorite. I think it's the highest rated. Again, I think Peaky Blinders is one of those shows. They never had a bad season. They never even really had a bad episode. But man, that season 4 starts out. This is another one of those shows. Always did great finales, outstanding finales. But sometimes the lead up could be, a little bit of table setting, especially the premiere. Man, season 4 was explosive. Like, I hope they can kind of bring that level to the movie here.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. That was a great season. I think that is also my favorite season. But the thing I love about this, where they left it off, we went from just a dude just kind of running the streets to now like a dude running global politics. They could take this thing anywhere, and I think that's what's most exciting about this with Tommy Shelby's character.
Yeah, I mean, they really went the full line because at the final plot, again, we've said spoilers at the end of 6, like Mosley and them tried to fool him into thinking he was dying, and he's living out. He famously burns the wagon down. I think his Radiohead plays, and goes away, and you couldn't tell, like, is he going? We had this conversation. Where do you think he's going on that horse? Is he going to get back in the game? Is he just going to form a new life? And based on the trailer, the teaser, you're not getting quite into it yet, but it sounds more like he kind of went to lead a completely separate life, and now maybe he's coming back into the game. Again, we've talked about it. A lot of content options out there. At least we're not, competing with football right now. Scale of 1 to 10 here. What's kind of your level of excitement for The Immortal Man?
It's high. I mean, I watching this preview, getting back into this world, these characters, I'm really excited about what they can do with it. Like, they ended the show in a spot that I was okay with, but to say I'm not excited about this, I would be lying, man. I really would.
So a scale of 1 to 10, like, I'm going to say I was around probably like a 7.5. I watched the teaser. I was like a solid 8. I rewatched the series. I'm now a full 9 here. Like, what are you at scale of 1 to 10 here? You're not quite as deep. You haven't gotten the rewatch on, but where are you at here?
Yeah, I would say I'm a 7.5 right there. Like I'm pretty fired up about it. I think it's coming at a good time too. We just wrapped up a couple of big things that we've been waiting on. And this is, you know, they didn't have to do this for what it's worth, right? So like they took their time. It's coming back. I expect them to do it justice here.
Honestly, it sounds like both from what they said, and Stephen Knight and others around the show said at the conclusion of season 6, it sounded like always the plan was they would do a movie and then they were going to follow up with some sort of series. Maybe it's a continuation of the movie, maybe it's a prequel, maybe it's a straight spin-off, who knows. Is that something you're looking for here? Like on this flick, like, do you want it to be something that's like for the hardcore fans only? You need to remember a lot of episodes of the show to watch it. Do you want it to be more standalone? Do you want it to be setting up a continuation of the show? I mean, in an ideal world, it does all of that. But if there's kind of just one thing you're looking for here, do you want it just to be a solid one-off? You want it to be a callback? You want it to be looking towards the future? Like, what are you looking for from the Immortal Man?
I think I'm looking for it to stand on its own, and whatever they do with it afterwards, they do with it afterwards. I don't want it to just be a vehicle to set up some sort of spin-off. I think that wouldn't do justice to kind of the Peaky Blinders franchise. So I'm looking for this to stand on its own. And if it happens to set up something awesome that's coming next, then man, that's great. Who's gonna be mad about that?
I don't think anybody, and considering the kind of the list of heavy hitters that they've brought in for this one, and Stephen Knight's still been doing pretty well for himself in the industry. So obviously, Killian Murphy is like killing him softly with his song. So everything does seem to track that if the people want to keep this going, they will do so. Netflix certainly has the cash for it. Do you have any worries that this is at all of like a cash grab here, or does this feel earned? They waited 4 years. Does this feel about right? Or, again, we've seen a lot of kind of continuations, unnecessary sequels over the past half a decade or so. Do you have confidence that this will be, kind of true to the nature of Peaky Blinders, or are you a little bit worried that it's just, Netflix expanding their content library?
Yeah, there's a smidge out there that just a tiny, but you got to listen to Marcellus Wallace, dude. That's just pride messing with you. That little pinch in the back of your neck. All jokes aside here, to me, I'm thinking they're going to do the right thing here. I don't know that this is just a money grab. If it was, it could have came out earlier. They could have rushed it. They could have ended season 6 a lot different. So I don't think so, man. I think they're just doing this because the character is so awesome. They've done such a great job telling this story, putting us in this world, and it's kind of moving along. They started doing some like the historical stuff, accuracy stuff. I think really kind of changed the show, and it looks like they're going to continue that here throughout the movie.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an honest alert probably because I remember reading interviews where it said, oh, they were able to kind of get into the show when they said, oh, we won't, we don't really care that much about being historically accurate. And now, of course, after all the years, they're tying it back around. So I think overall we feel, generally pretty good about this going in. It feels like there's enough of a justification, for it to exist. So I guess we just want to hope that it kind of it just fits in. Like we watch it, it feels great. What do you think about the release strategy? They're going to release it in theaters basically for 2 weeks before it goes on to Netflix. Is that enough of an incentive for you to go to the theater? Or is it just going to be one of those things where, well, why do I want to fight traffic or drive in the snow or whatever it is, and I'll just watch it on Netflix in 2 weeks?
Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to go to the theater for it. I don't know. We'll have to see. I think I'll probably just ride it out and watch it from my home theater, which I prefer a little bit more.
To be fair, when's the last time you went to the movies? I think for me, I think it was Avengers Endgame, if I'm being perfectly honest.
I don't even remember.
So
I don't even
pre-COVID?
remember. Oh yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
fair enough. Again, the experience has been improved. Better seating. I like the idea that you can pick your seats kind of first come, first serve, but it's still dramatically overpriced, and it's one of those weird things. Like, it's fun to go to the movies with people, but really you're not supposed to talk during it. So it's really just all about like hanging out before and after the movie to a certain degree, which you can do at your house for much cheaper, at least in terms of popcorn. So I think all that really, makes sense for the most part here. So again, I think we're ready for this. It feels justified. So let's kind of get into the nitty gritty of it. This is Peaky Blinders, The Immortal Man. As we mentioned, it's getting a theatrical release on March 6th, 2026, and then it's being released on Netflix on March 20th, 2026. Directed by Tom Harper. He also directed the back half of season one, episodes 4 through 6. So taking it back to back in the day a little bit, we like that, going back to the roots. Written by showrunner, show creator Stephen Knight, Toby Finlay, and Stephen Russell. As far as actors appearing in this, returning, we have Killing Him Softly, Cillian Murphy as Tommy Shelby, Sophie Rundle as Ada Thorne, Ned Dennehy as Charlie Strong, Ian Peck as Curly, Packy Lee as Johnny Dogs, and Stephen Graham as Hayden Stagg. We have one unknown Shelby in the cast. Ruby Ashbourne Circus is appearing as Agnes Shelby. And appearing in roles that we don't know yet, we have Rebecca Ferguson, Barry Keoghan, Tim Roth, and Jay Lycurgo. The IMDb plot synopsis is: during World War II, Tommy Shelby returns to a bombed Birmingham and becomes involved in secret wartime missions based on true events, facing new threats as he reckons with his past and rising national stakes. Over on Wikipedia, the plot synopsis is: Birmingham, 1940. Amidst the chaos of World War II, Tommy Shelby is driven back from his self-imposed exile to face his most destructive reckoning yet. With the future of the family and country at stake, Tommy must face his own demons and choose whether to confront his legacy or burn it to the ground. Before we get into the discussion, I think we have a clip. Let's see if he burns it to the ground.
I'm not that man anymore.
Tommy, you've got to come back.
And Jamie G, there's not a ton to this teaser, but in my opinion, I like that, right? Like, I hate when trailers give too much away, so it does feel like a little bit of the proverbial dick tease here. Like, it's just, oh, Tommy Shelby coming back. We know he's coming back. We know he's coming back. Are you okay with that? I mean, it does the job of a teaser, right? It's supposed to tease.
It excites you, but it's void of spoilers, and that's the perfect teaser. There's nothing in there that we saw that I think is going to be like, oh man, I wish I wouldn't have saw that already. It lost its luster because I already saw it, right? And so I think that's they nailed, like, A, get you hyped up, but B, don't give anything away. And so when you do those things, man, that makes for a good teaser. So absolutely, I think they nailed it.
Were you at all disappointed that, other than that the very, very, very small sound cue at the end, we didn't get Red Right Hand?
A little bit, just because it's so awesome. It's just iconic with this show. I have a feeling it'll be in the main trailer. I hope they do a good job in the main trailer without giving too much away too.
We're going to do predictions at the end. We're not going to get crazy into it because hopefully we'll have a full trailer to do these for. But in the actual movie, how many uses of Red Right Hand will we get? Under, over, 2.5?
I'm going over. And rightfully so.
Because they've done multiple versions of it throughout the show, so it might not be like all just Nick Cave, but I think that, yeah, I'm going to go over as well. I mean, that's, again, rewatching the show, it amazed me how much of it is carried on the soundtrack. It's very, very well deployed, and and especially because the fact that they curated from a fairly small group of artists. A lot of these shows, they try to reach wide and far for their selection, and here they got about a group of 10 artists that they just basically bank on for everything. And for me, at least for the most part, I think it's worked like gangbusters. Dude, how do you think, we get a little Godfather 3 here, just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in maybe. Like, how do you think Tommy Shelby is getting pulled back in? Is it the government? Is it Ada? Is it Hayden Stagg? Like, who is pulling Tommy back into this? Or is it just his sense of national pride? He was very proud about serving his country in World War One throughout the series. Like, why do you think Tommy Shelby's coming back?
I don't want to get over dramatic and be like, to save the world, but maybe in his mind a little bit, right? Like things have gone so bad that like they need somebody like only Tommy Shelby can do this, right? And like we know he's got his demons and everything, man. And but I think like something so it gets so bad that like he dusts off the jersey, puts it on one more time to come out there and handle business.
Yeah, it feels like, especially if they're going at least somewhat semi-historically, bringing the Nazis in. He does have a strong connection to the Jewish community through Alfie too, who is
Yeah.
not credited to appear, but it feels like that would be one way, right? If Alfie somehow dies because like fighting the Nazis or something, maybe that like tips Tommy over a little bit or something like that. I don't know exactly how it could go. I'm holding out hope that Tom Hardy, appears in some way, even if it is a flashback or a hallucination or something like that. Do you like the whole idea of setting it during World War II and, basically continuing the trend of Peaky expanding, right? It started out with taking over Birmingham and Kimball, and we're taking over some racetracks and shit until like the very end. Like, this is global politics. Do you kind of like the expansion here, or would you have rather they gone with a, kind of a little bit smaller scale story?
I like that they're expanded it and they made this story bigger. I mean, they kind of did the Birmingham thing and it was awesome, don't get me wrong, but I like that they developed these characters into more than that and what happens with it and his involvement in politics and all this stuff in World War II and Nazis and I mean this it just it, to me it makes it much more of a show than it was prior. And there's nothing wrong with it prior, but I think this enhances it certainly.
I think it's a case of where this went from, kind of good television. A lot of, especially British television, is more high end because it's shorter, not as big a commitments with these 6 episode seasons, sometimes 3 episode seasons that they don't do that many of. So you can get better talent. So I'm not saying that it wasn't prestige to start, but it feels like at the end, they kind of dovetailed right into the prestige era a little bit, especially now in terms of shows that have these smaller episode run numbers and the longer gaps between the release dates. So Peaky kind of really was almost a forerunner of what a lot of this universe looks like now. So I think it's very well suited to kind of jump back in and like I think I'm with you. A smaller story could have been cool, but Tommy Shelby's almost too big for a smaller story, right? And I'm glad they didn't go the route where they go far ahead and it's like him advising his son and they try to pass it on to the next generation. Like, you got to have, we're going to get into the cast in a minute here. You can say what else you will, but you can't have Peaky Blinders without Tommy Shelby, right? I think that's just kind of a given. It's like Cheers without Sam Malone or Seinfeld without Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to have him, man. He is Peaky Blinders,
Yeah,
no
it's not
doubt.
optional, dude. By the order of. And as far as the other cast here, let's just rip the band-aid off. It appears that no Paul Anderson here as Arthur. It seems to stem from, unfortunately, personal issues with the actor, some abuse, addiction issues, going back to the final season of the show. I mean, JBG, we love Arthur, right? I mean, that energy he brought. I mean, he was,
He's my guy, man.
it was a little bit of a crutch at times. At the end of every year, you had to get Arthur out there. It was like in Boardwalk where they bring Richard back at the end of every year or whatever. Like it was a little bit of a crutch, but I didn't mind it because he was so good.
He was awesome and Arthur. I mean, just it'll probably save my esophagus and vocal cords while we're doing this without having to do Arthur's voice every week. But he's awesome. I loved his character. It just, yeah, I'm gonna miss him, man. I'll just put it that way. I'm gonna miss him.
I mean, if you were going to replace his energy, though, Tim Roth,
Yeah,
not bad. I mean, I'm doubting. To me, I'm guessing, we don't want to get too into predictions because hopefully we can do that with a full trailer. But to me, if you're casting Tim Roth, I think he either has to be a Shelby or like a main villain. What do you think it is? I'm leaning towards main villain. What role do you think Tim Roth's playing here?
yeah. I think he would fit that main villain just too perfectly to not be. So kind of got him as the big bad here.
There's some consensus online as far as a little bit of two of the mystery characters here. Agnes Shelby everyone seems to agree is probably going to be one of John's daughters from his first marriage. It seems to make a lot of sense. So generally a character we have not seen before. And then everybody seems to think Barry Keoghan's going to be playing Duke. If you remember from season 6, that's Tommy's son. He found out he had with the gypsy chick who kind of came in at the back end of season 6. And again, at the time, I think we both mentioned that, boy, bringing him in this late, along with Hayden Stagg, you get Stephen Graham, and he was only kind of there for that one little episode with a couple scenes. Like, it seems like a lot. It feels like maybe they're really setting shit up for the future. It seems like they really were here. Would you like it if Barry Keoghan's going to be playing Duke? Would you be upset that the other actor wasn't, returning? How do you feel about this? Or would you like him to be playing someone else?
I'm okay with it. I mean, yeah, he could be playing somewhere else, but I'm okay with it. I
We
think
need more Shelbys, right? We've
we
pretty much
do.
taken almost all the other Shelbys off the board. I feel like we need more Shelbys.
Yeah. Yeah, without Arthur there, we need a couple more Shelbys. Give Tommy something to defend other than, his country, his nation, his pride. Like give him some family here, man.
And shout out Stephen Graham. I just mentioned Boardwalk Empire a minute ago. I first remember seeing him. Obviously we know him from Snatch and then Boardwalk Empire. He played Al Capone. So, he's been a big favorite of ours for a long time here. But considering, we originally thought maybe he would be a big rival for Tommy, but considering where they're from and it's World War II, they kind of have to be on the same side, you would think here, right? Like it's kind of a team up.
Yeah, and that would be cool too, though, honestly. And maybe there's a little backstabbing, who knows? But it feels like they'll probably be, fighting the same cause.
And how about Rebecca Ferguson? I mean, her star has been on the rise for forever. She was great in the Mission Impossible, the Dune movie. She's been very good in a lot of things here. She is the one I cannot figure out exactly where she fits in. I guess the most obvious thing would be a new love interest for Tommy. Do you think they go that way? I guess in my head I'm going with because it's Tommy. She's who recruits him into the government. Like she's kind of government agent that recruits him. But of course they wind up banging because it's Tommy Shelby.
They have to. I mean, it's
He's
part of the
James
deal.
Bond, right? I mean, he can't at this point. That's who he is. He even kind of, admitted to Lizzie that he just like he can't help himself. That's who he is.
So he is, man. So he
It's
is.
Tommy Shelby, dude. So, kind of other quick predictions here. Like, will we get Alfie? I guess that's really the main one we haven't talked about. Will we get Alfie Solomons? Will Tom Hardy show up? He can be in a flashback, even. I'm giving you a backdoor.
Yeah, he has to. He's such an awesome character in this, and some of their intense one-on-ones and everything have been some of the best scenes of the entire series. So to me, you got to find a way to get him in there. You have to. I think it might be Tom Hardy's best role. That's not like a main role. He's just awesome as Alfie Solomons.
I mean, he'll be fine, right? He just had a touch of the consumption, basically. I
Yeah, a
mean,
little touch of the consumption.
yeah, I feel like yes, one way or the other, we'll get him. Do you think we get any other kind of surprise throwback, surprise flashbacks? Like we haven't seen him in forever, but it'd be kind of really cool to get like Sam Neill to show up randomly and like some kind of something or whatever, just because we haven't gotten him in a million years. And just rewatching the show, you forget how goddamn good Sam Neill was those first 2 seasons. Is like
Yeah,
the foil for Tommy.
yeah, yeah. I don't know how they would bring him back, but man, he was. Talk about intense. That was, yes, that would be very cool. I would not have a beef with that at all.
So possible Alanis alert here. We're getting towards the end. Will Tommy Shelby, like it'd be ironic, right? If he doesn't survive a movie he stars in called The Immortal Man, will Tommy Shelby be alive at the end of the flick?
I gotta say yes. I just can't. I just don't know how you kill Tommy Shelby, man. I gotta say yes.
You would hate the fake out where it looks like it's going to end and you start to slowly fade to black and then boom, just red right hand drops in and his eyes open and it would be a little bit cheap, but he's not really a superhero, but Tommy Shelby is basically he's Lex Luthor without Superman, right? I mean, that's kind of how he feels like it feels like he's on that level.
Yeah, I think he is, man. I mean, the dude's. He's just such a great character. It would be hard to continue anything in this realm without him, just from a business standpoint. So
And one final one, will we actually get a literal red right hand, like someone whose hand is like covered in blood or paint who just beat somebody to death with their red right hand. I feel like we actually, if we're gonna hear red right hand again, like we need someone to actually like beat someone to death with the red right hand.
I would love it, but that's the only person that could do that is Arthur, and unfortunately, we don't have Arthur. So I'm going to say no.
See, a lot of people are speculating. Do you think there's any chance that he makes an uncredited cameo here? Like some people are worried because it's World War II that they'll basically give him one scene where they kill him, and that's kind of Tommy's motivation. Would you be okay with that? I mean, would it be better than no Arthur?
Ah, man, if there was a chance he could come back and whatever is going to happen after this, I would say don't kill him just because he's so awesome. So I don't know, man. I
Complete
don't know if
cosign, complete cosign. If there's a possible chance of future Arthur, if this keeps going and he gets his,
yeah,
he gets his stuff straight or whatever like that, like it's worth it to keep
yeah,
him
it's
in
worth just
play.
hang on and not do anything with him.
Yeah, especially
Maybe
again, we're
just
limited
off
number of
camera doing
Shelbys here,
stuff
dude.
like that.
Limited
Yeah,
Shelbys here. We're already basically leaning on, the whatever the illegitimate gypsy kid who was introduced in the very very end of the series. So,
right.
usually that's a little bit of a weak point, but in this case, willing to give Peaky the benefit of the doubt because they have been awesome, and y'all have been awesome for checking out PBP. We will be back hopefully to discuss the full trailer and then the flick, and then hopefully more Peaky Blinders past that. Would love there to be more of it, and we love that you checked out the show. Thanks again for checking out PBP, a Peaky Blinders podcast. We are presented by Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. You can find all of our content wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Once again, on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff and on the World Wide Web at dudeswatchstuff.com. Simple and easy to remember, just like those flaps, FLAPS. So critical to our success. Follow, like, and please subscribe if you had fun. Please do not forget that thumb. Thanks again for checking out PBP. I'm Magna Mills. He's Jamie G. And we'll plan on seeing y'all again real soon.
And remember, stick to the plan, or else you get hit with that red right hand.